Hello YouTube. Okay, I know it's been a while. I know, and I know I'm in the mental asylum now. I know. But yeah, whatever. That doesn't matter. None of that matters, right? Right now, we're looking at Kazuya in the Mishima Dojo. You know what that means. We're in the dojo now. So today is, all of you know already. It's in the title. So we're gonna be discussing the Vortex of this beautiful character. So let's start, right? In here, in the vid, what are we discussing? We're gonna be discussing how to like do this. Right? Without this happening. Without this happening. That's what we're gonna be discussing. We're also gonna be discussing the best situations to use the Vortex. Like, you know, it's better to use it in this situation and that and why and stuff like that. Basically, we're gonna be discussing the Vortex in detail, more or less. So, yeah. Oh, but the one more thing I have to mention. It's very important. If you noticed, I'm on the right side right now, instead of the left. This is the only situation when Kazuya is at a big disadvantage when it comes to his Vortex. Because when you do a Hell Sweep, and they tech roll, they can sidestep to the left if they are on the left side. This only happens if they are on the left side. Because if they are on the right side, for example, let me switch back the positions. I use on the right. I have him set on sidewalk left immediately after tech roll, as you can see. If you tech roll, does this, as you can see, there's a slight duck animation first, and then he does the sidestep. This is because he is on the right side. So whenever he ducks, he has to press the down button, but he's already ducking. So it's like a Tekken thing. Like when you're ducking, it's hard to sidestep to the, not the background, the foreground. Right? When you're ducking, it's hard to sidestep here when you're on the left side, and it's the opposite for the right side. So that's why when you do this, you have much more leniency. Like I can delay this a lot, and it will still work. No matter how much I delay this, maybe not that much, but yeah, if I delay it a lot, it will still work when they are on the right side. So if you're playing offline and you know your opponent is on the right side, you have much more leniency to the Vortex, much more. You can even use forward 4-3 a little bit more as a mid mix-up when your opponent's on the right side than any other situations. I'll discuss why later, but let's go back to the right side because that's the situation we're going to be discussing, because that's the most disadvantage our character has. Is that the right way to say it? Whatever, doesn't matter. Yeah. So first, before we go to the Vortex itself, how do we start the Vortex? Well, the best situations to start Vortex, at least in my opinion, of course the whole vid is my opinion, I'm pretty sure all of you know that. One of the best ways to start a Vortex is one after a combo ender, so like you do a normal combo and don't drop it like I just did. End it with like an electric or something like that, right? End it with that. Or a normal combo like this. Okay. I'm just dropping combos for some reason. I guess this is the YouTube curse. But yeah, if you end it like that, like 3-on-4 into electric, you can wave a win like that and do a Hell Sweep as a mix-up and then start the Vortex. That's a decent one. Of course, you mix each one of them up with a mid. I'll be talking about the mid options later. So that's one way. You can use like other combo enders as well, like CD3. But I won't recommend CD3 as much because you don't have as many frames. Like back 3-1 into electric is one of the best enders for a Vortex starter. That and that not a lot of people know about or use, in my opinion anyway, is the 1-2-4-3 ender. Nice electrics, bro. There you go. Like you end it with 1-2-4-3 like this. But imagine there's no wall, right? There's no wall. And you just go in for the Vortex. That's also very good, in my opinion. Because I've labbed this, and this does the same damage as you guys saw. It does 72 damage. It's the same damage as a CD3 ender, and it gives more frames. So it's very good to just wave win and just Vortex him. Well, start it anyway. You don't Vortex on the first one. The Vortex starts at the second one. But yeah. So combo enders, after combo enders, that's a good Vortex starter. You can also use 1-1-2. A lot of people do use it, like this. If they tech roll, just wave a win and mix them up, right? Of course, you have to time this correctly as well, and this has a very different timing from the Vortex itself. So let's talk about this as well, so this doesn't happen. Like that. The way you time this is you time their tech roll with your forward dash. So they don't have time to sidestep. And of course this only works if they're on the left side. I already talked about this, right? Because if they're on the right side, they won't be able to sidestep after tech rolling. So you just have to time it correctly. If you delay it even a bit, they'll have time to sidestep. As you can see, I delayed it. I think just a little bit. And they had time to sidestep. I mean, it's the same principle in here after a hell sweep. So you have to be careful there. But what you have to be very wary of when it comes to 1-1-2 is that your frames are actually not on your side when it comes to 1-1-2. 1-1-2. See this? You're gonna get countered if you try to start the Vortex with it. You're thinking they're gonna like do a tech roll, you're gonna mix them up, but suddenly they just do a get up kick and you get countered. It works same way if you try a mid mix up like down back 2 or forward forward 3. You don't have the time. It's basically what I'm saying. So when it comes to 1-1-2, this particular knockdown, be wary of get up kicks, because this is the part, well, not the part, the situation where you are more you should be more scared of get up kicks basically, because you're vulnerable to them. If you do forward forward 4, if you do it fast enough, you can counter it. And it will work as a mid mix up as well if you do it correctly, but it's hard to do. Most of the time you'll still get countered. It's not easy to time these things, right? So most of the time, if you bait it, you can punish it with either a forward forward 3 or backdash duck while standing 2, which is the better option in my opinion, but stuff like that. Punish it however you want, but just be wary of that. And of course, it's same thing applies to a spring kick. If you do a Vortex, you're gonna get hit, and the same thing applies to a recovery kick. If you try a Vortex, you're gonna get stopped. Same thing. There are other options to avoid the Vortex as well. So basically, after 1-1-2, they have to tech roll. The side rolls also avoid Vortexes. Even though the first hit may hit, even that's a may, it may whiff, like this. And this is the worst situation. If they side roll to the left, you try this may whiff, second gets blocked, you get launched. This is one of the worst situations. So you have to be very wary. So side roll left is a very good move to use against Kaz. Like I'm telling them. This is also anti-Kaz, I guess, but the Kazuya player should know about this, because if anyone does this to you, you should know how to deal with it, right? And you know why it's happening. So of course, if you do wave forward forward 4, you're gonna catch this. It's decent. And if you use a wave down back 4, you can also catch that, which is another low mix-up that you can use, a down back 4 after wave. But yeah, this is very scary. Side roll left for a Vortex. Of course, you can like mitigate by changing your timing, but that's scary because if they tech roll into sidestep, the changing of timing will sidestep that. So yeah, complicated stuff, right? So you have to be wary of side roll left the most. Most people don't know about this, so let's hope not a lot of people will know about this because of this video, but I doubt non-Kazuya players will watch this, right? I doubt it. Will you? Okay, whatever. who cares? We're gonna have to figure out how to deal with it ourselves. Like 4-4-4 is pretty good. So that's about 1-1-2. You're gonna do 1-1-2s, the side roll also does that. Same with the hell sweep. If you do hell sweep, the side roll also does that. But yeah, I'll talk about the hell sweep later. There are like other ways to mitigate it. For now, I was talking about purely about 1-1-2. Because you can't make the hell sweep hit here without taking too much risk. I mean the first hit of the hell sweep, of course. Okay, so be wary of 1-1-2 knockdown, because mashers might counter hit you. If they're not mashing and they're tech rolling, Vortex them, no problem. And the same kind of mind game applies with back 1-2. Exactly the same. So if you look at frames, 1-1-2 does give you more frames, it gives you plus 15. By the way, when you look at the frames, always look in the parentheses. Don't look outside of them. If there's anything, of course. So yeah, like this says plus 9. Okay, let's ignore that. But you don't have that many frames to go in. Like this is even less frames than 1-1-2. So if they tech roll, let me set them to tech roll. Whoa, my bad. You have even less time to hell sweep them than the 1-1-2. You see this? It's very difficult to hell sweep here. You have to do something like this, dash in very quickly into a very fast hell sweep, like that, for it to work. But even that is not like 100% guaranteed, right? And if you do like a wave into hell sweep, the wave sacrifices frames, and you're gonna miss it. Just like that. It's the same with 4-4-3. This will never work. I have to talk about 4-4-3 in a separate section. So back 1-2 and same with down back 2. Like back 1-2 is not that good of a Vortex starter because of this little fact. You don't get a lot of frames on knockdown. But what you can do is just wavoo, realign, and then do whatever, right? If you see them stepping, maybe electric them. Right? Like wavoo electric is decent here. If only I can electric. There we go. Oh. But yeah. This is how we do it. The electric also works. If they do sidestep, they're gonna get caught. So do this into wavoo electric. Or a dash electric also works. Dash electric is way easier. But it depends, right? Definitely depends. For some people, the wavoo electric is easier. Or wavoo into electric. Okay. So that's the mind game after back 1-2. And the same kind of mind game applies to 1-1-2 as well. Except 1-1-2 is easier to Vortex with. Like, just like 1-1-2, get up kicks are your worst enemy, spring kicks are your worst enemy, all that stuff. You try to go in and try to Vortex them, you're gonna get caught. Same with 4-4-3. Same with down back 2. Even if you wall standing 4. Like, that's how bad the frames are here for you. So you have to be careful of get up kicks here. But the good thing is, as I said in the 1-1-2 situation, you can also bait them. So if you dash in, backdash, duck while standing 2, stuff like that is pretty good. Something like this. The dash in is of course for the bait, so they use the while standing move, not while stand, the get up 3. And then do a backdash duck, so you get like a mid launcher, because you need the mid launcher. That's like the best way to punish someone with long range. So you use 4-4-3 without the duck, right? After you knock down someone, the duck while standing 2 is pretty decent. Like something like this. Or don't duck and punish with a 4-4-3. So these are your two options. But that's the back 1-2 knockdown. In my opinion, these are two of the worst knockdowns you can start a Vortex with. In my opinion. The second worst one, which is not bad to be honest, like the combo enders that I mentioned the first time, are not bad. They're pretty good Vortex starters. They're not bad. But they're still worse than the next two that I'm gonna say. So, the second place, like second best knockdown to use, the third one is combos, the fourth one is these two knockdowns. The second best knockdown to use to start Vortex is a Hell Sweep. This is not a Vortex, as I already mentioned. This is a Vortex starter. But this is the second best Vortex starter. So this starts a Vortex, like this. And the best thing is, you don't have to worry about get-up kicks here. They're close enough, you have enough frames, and you can just do this. You can even forward 3, or down back 2, stuff like that. You don't have to worry about get-up kicks here if you do it correctly. Of course, if you delay your Hell Sweep a lot, because you want to delay your timing, that will still get you. But if you don't delay your timing, get-up kicks are not that much of a problem. The problem here are spring kicks, like this. Sometimes you can like hit them out of it just like this, but pretty inconsistent. I would not recommend this. So spring kicks do beat you, and also recovery kicks. You can also do this to recovery kicks if you're fast enough, but most of the time this will happen. Because if you're too fast with it, you also missed the Hell Sweep timing, and they're gonna sidestep it. So, like this, wait. Like this. Right, that was too fast of a Hell Sweep. So they could just tech roll and then sidestep. So you have to be careful when it comes to sprint kicks and recovery kicks when it comes to Hell Sweep knockdown. But they're not that scary, so you can just Vortex to your heart's content. It's fine. Sprint kick is the scariest, but it's fine. It's not a launcher. Basically. Yeah. Now, since we are at the Hell Sweep knockdown, let's talk about the side roll left, which I talked about on the 1-1-2 section, right? So the side roll left does exactly the same thing as in the 1-1-2 section. Right? Oh wait, he's tech rolling, I forgot. Wait, let me do it a little bit incorrectly. God damn it. There you go. So it does the same thing, but as I already mentioned, you have more frames here. Which means if you do the Hell Sweep correctly, you're still gonna hit the first hit. Which means side roll left isn't really a threat here if you do the Hell Sweep correctly. Of course, if you do a mid, they're gonna avoid it. They won't punish you for it, most likely. But still. This will hit if you do the Hell Sweep correctly. If you delay too much, something like this will happen. So yeah, be careful about that still. So the first best knockdown, in my opinion, of course, which is pretty close to the second, I'm gonna be honest. Like, there can be opinions saying that like Hell Sweep is better, Vortex Star than this, and I'll be like, yeah, that makes sense. Because this has its upsides and the downsides as well, just like everything. The best upside this has, so I didn't even mention. So the thing is, a Pancake flip. It's a forward Pancake flip. Any knockdown that gives a forward Pancake flip is the best Vortex Star in my opinion. So this Pancake flip right here. So, what's the pluses and minuses of this? The plus is you have a ton of frames. And I mean a ton. So if they do a tech roll, I just delayed my Hell Sweep for like a million frames, and I still Hell Sweep it. So I have a lot of frames, can delay it a lot, and I still get the Hell Sweep. Or you can do a fast one, like that. Okay, messed it up. A little bit faster than normal, or you can slow it down, like this. That's a different timing, right? Slower timing. But they still can't sidestep it. There are two timings to this, and they can't sidestep either of them. Because you have a lot of frames. Forward just gives you a lot of frames. Even though they're far away, it's still really good. So, what are the downsides of this? The downsides of this is, of course, side roll left, which I already talked about is pretty bad for Kazuya in general whenever he gets knocked down. Because even in the case of a Hell Sweep, if you get the first hit of the Hell Sweep, it's not that good, right? It's iffy at best. The best case scenario is if you get a forward. So if you do, not back 1-2. Like forward, Pancake flip, and you get a Hell Sweep like this happens. It's the same with the 1-1-2. So it's very scary here in that situation. You can delay the hell sweep a little bit, and sometimes still get the hit, like the first hit, but even that's very iffy. See, that's very inconsistent. I can't do it. I've tested it out, sometimes it's possible, but very inconsistent. So side roll left is not that good for you, basically. So the best thing you can do is another forward forward forward, as I talked about it. Because a hell sweep, most likely you're gonna get launched. Because the first hit whiffs, second one gets blocked, or the second one whiffs. Sometimes it might whiff. I can't make it happen, but sometimes it might whiff. So this is a pretty big downside in my opinion, and that's why sometimes I can agree with people saying, "Oh, hell sweep is a better starter," because they can't side roll to the left, right? So we don't have that risk, which I can understand. 100% I can understand. But I like the forward forward 4 better because of less risk with spring kicks. They can't spring kick from here, and recovery kicks. They can also not recover kick from here. And also wake up kicks, both of them are going to be way slower. So if they do try something like that, wait, another side roll. I already showcased that. Oh god. If they do try something like that, if you delay your hell sweep too much, that's the only time you're gonna get hit. As you can see, I'm delaying it still. I'm not doing it the fastest I can. The fastest you can do it is with the dash hell sweep like this. That's the one of the fastest ways you can do it. But even if you do a wave hell sweep like this, they still can't counter hit you. So it's pretty slow, it's pretty decent in that regard. And if you do a forward forward forward, you will also counter hit them. But one big thing, which is another thing that you have to worry about whenever it comes to forward 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 knockdown. Okay, I'm delaying the forward 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 too much there. Is the get up forward. I can't really make the NPC do it, the computer, whatever. So I'll showcase it by myself. So whenever this happens, hell sweep, right? Let me get hit, wait. They can do a while standing 4 here. Which is not a big weakness because they don't have that much of a time. But you have to be aware of it. So just so I can showcase it, I'll make this guy do the hell sweep a little bit slower than normal. Like that. That's pretty slow. Something like this, right? They have access to wall standing moves because of that knockdown. It's not that big of a problem. The Vortex still works just as well if you do it correctly. Same with mids. All of them work just as well. Oh wait. Let me do it again. Forward, forward, 3. Right? You'll still get the counter hit. They won't hit you. But I'm just saying this so you are aware that they have access to wall standing moves in this situation. For example, Fang can wall standing 3 and launch you from that situation, so you have to be careful. Like if you want to delay your timing and they do that, you'll get launched. Same with Kunimitsu. Wall standing 3 will launch you. Of course some wall standing 4s will interrupt you as well, but I'm just saying this so you have to be careful when it comes to that. But other than that, it's pretty good. Other than that. Because one of the best things about this, oh god, is that you can mix up with down back 4 very, very easily here. You can also use down back 3, of course. And use down back 2. Right now, when traded, that was like the worst situation. An unlucky situation, basically. But most of the time, your down back 2 should be fine. Not to mention if you do the wave down back 2, they won't be able to sidestep it either, like on the tech roll. Wait. Like wave down back 2. This also works as a mid mix-up. Even if they tech roll, or not, or do anything else, it just works really well. The only thing they can do about these is if they stay down or side roll. So basically staying down is their only option here. Like no button will save them unless they stay down or roll. Which is why I like it so much. There are no get up kicks that you should be afraid of. No sprint kicks or recovery kicks. Like those two are the big difference for me that I rate this higher than a hell sweep. Because they can do a sprint kick here and interrupt you. Or a recovery kick and interrupt you. But that is not the case when it comes to this. See how much I delayed the hell sweep? It still worked. Okay, so in my opinion that's the best knockdown you can start a Vortex with. Because a lot of people are very afraid when it comes to this knockdown. And they have to be, it's a pancake flip. We get a lot of frames. But be aware of the roll left. Be very aware of it. If your opponent knows, they will most certainly spam it. Most certainly. And if you don't know. But if you know, you can use forward forward fours even after a hell sweep. Something like that. It works as a mid mix up, which will hit them if they're ducking. And it works as a anti-stay down option. So if they're staying down... Wait, stay down. They're still gonna get hit. The only thing is, if you do a wave of forward forward 4, like wave of forward 4, you might get hit by a wake up kick. After a hell sweep. But even that's a might. Like that. You do it fast, you'll counter hit him instead. So it's pretty good. Like forward forward 4 is a very good option. Okay. Since I covered all the Vortex starters, not all of them. Maybe, I'm pretty sure there's some other ones, like maybe this one, right? Like this into a setup. Let's not talk about this. Like, this is like a combo ender. After this you can start a Vortex, but this counts as a combo ender, which is like the third place in my list anyway. But, yeah, there might be some other ones, but those four are like the main ones that I think about anyway. Okay, now let's talk about the Vortex itself. How to minimize this thing happening to you. How to minimize this. Sometimes it may still happen to you because you may mess up the timing. It's possible. Like, this is not as brain dead as some people think it is, right? Oh, just spam it. Like, this happens when you just spam it, right? You have to know how to do it. If you just spam it, a good player will just sidestep it, evade into the tech roll, or something like that. And you want to do something like this, so that's not possible. Right? This is what you want. So they can never just step it. This is a true Vortex. They can't do shit about this. They have to duck. They are forced to duck. They can't step it. They can't do anything. If they tech roll, they're forced to guess there and duck. So that's what you want to do. Now, how to do that? Actually, what I was showcasing was one of the ways you can do that, but there are actually two ways. So one is after a hell sweep, or a Vortex starter in general. Not a Vortex starter, after a hell sweep. You do a forward. You do a dash like this. That's the first way you can do it. Because the thing that's realigning, even when it comes to a wave dash, is a dash. The forward after the wave dash is the one that's realigning you to your opponent. If you didn't know, now you know. Yeah, you do a dash and another hell sweep instantly. This is the easiest way to do it and the fastest way to do it. But you just have to be careful not to do it too fast. The last one that whiffed, I did too fast. Which is why I said sometimes you may mess up the timing, it may still whiff. But most of the time you should be able to, you know, get this down. So dash, instant hell sweep, this won't whiff. Unless, as I said, do it too fast. Okay, so that's one of the ways. Then after you get to your Vortex starter, the hell sweep, you do the dash into another one, and that's a Vortex already. Yeah, the second best way to do it is wave hell sweep. It also changes the timing as well, which is pretty good. It does have a weakness, which is a little bit more strict on its timing, so you can mess it up easier. So you do this, and you messed it up. So when I'm talking about strict timing, it means that when you do a Weiwu, you can't immediately Hell Sweep. Weiwu Hell Sweep. If you immediately Hell Sweep, sometimes this happens. What you do is a forward dash after a Hell Sweep. Not forward dash, but you hold forward. As you just saw. But the timing of it is a little bit different. So it's more prone to you messing it up. But as you can see, this is also a Vortex. As you can see, I did like 6 times in a row. It's basically a Vortex. But you are more prone to messing this up than the forward dash one. The forward Hell Sweep, this is way easier to do. And the timing of it is way faster. But that might be a plus side or a downside. So there are 2 ways to do it, which is pretty good for Kazuya players in my opinion, because one has a faster timing, like forward into Hell Sweep. This is very fast. They don't do it too fast though, I just whiffed it there. So they're not even tech rolling fully before they're getting hit. But if you do the Weiwu one, they're already tech rolled and then you hit them. Mess it up there, like that. They're already tech rolled and then you hit them. So there are 2 different timings to that. And the same thing goes for mid mix-ups. Okay, now let's talk about mid mix-ups. Actually, before mid mix-ups, I have to talk about down back 4. The reason down back 4 works so well as a low mix-up here instead of a Hell Sweep is because it's delayed timing. Not delayed timing, but because of how slow it is. Most of the time, people expect a Hell Sweep after this kind of things. And they might do a fuzzy duck. Like, do this and get up instantly. Especially when it comes to this, right? This is like super fast, instant timing. They might just duck for a split second and then get up. But then when you do a down back 4, the timing of this low is way different from a Hell Sweep. So if they do get up, they're gonna get hit by this. But if they don't get up, they're gonna be more susceptible to all the mids you're gonna do. And that's why, in my opinion, doing down back 4 is pretty decent. You can also use down back 3. But this is more prone to whiffing because it has less tracking than a down back 4. Not to mention this is better when it comes to damage and frames and everything like that. And not to mention down back 4 also hits grounded pretty consistently. It's pretty good, basically. It's not bad. Some people might say, oh, down back 4 is reactable. But in my opinion, the only time down back 4 is really reactable is when you do it in the neutral, like something like this, right? Even this is hard to react to, like Weiwu down back 4s, right? Pretty hard. Or if you do like dashes down back 4s, sometimes they may be able to react to it, but even that is really hard. And when it comes to knockdowns after tech roll, reacting to a down back 4 is even harder than that. Maybe possible, right? It might be sometimes possible, but I wouldn't really bet on it. Especially when they're scared for their lives for a Hell Sweep. Especially then. Okay. Okay, so let's go to the mids. One thing I really have to say to all the Kazuya players is about Fort 4-3. You have to forget about it. Fort 4-3 does not work in the Vortex. The only way you can make this work is to mess up the timing too much. Which is why they will often block it really well. Like really well. The first one that I hit was a very different timing. And it was a very rare situation when that even works. But most of the time this will happen. As you guys saw, I whiffed it like millions of times, right? Like there is no surefire way to make this work. At least I couldn't find it. One I did find was a sidestep into it, but this doesn't make it a mix-up anymore. Like a sidestep Hell Sweep doesn't work. So there's no point. 4-4-3, forget about it after a Hell Sweep. Vortex. Use down back 2 instead. Like that. Either 4-4 down back 2, but as I said, don't do it too fast, it will whiff, like this. To max up the fast timing Hell Sweep, do it like this, 4-4 down back 2. They're ducking instantly because they won't be able to block a Hell Sweep unless they're holding down back. Do that, you're gonna get a 4-4 and another Vortex starter, right? That's what Kazuya is good for. So down back 2. And this works really well because it works on the slow timing as well, which is the Weiwu down back 2. So both timings works really well because down back 2 actually has slight tracking to the left. Let me try to demonstrate it. I'm trying to like make it track, but it has, there you go. It has very slight tracking. It was hard to like delay it correctly basically, but down back 2 is your best option as a Vortex mid. For the slow one and for the fast one. Support 4 down back 2, Weiwu down back 2, really good to do. And of course, the things that I didn't mention is that you can change your timings in every situation. Every knockdown you can change your timings. Of course, you're not forced to do forward 4 into this, right? But if you want to do a Vortex with the fastest timing possible, that's how you do it, so they can sidestep you. But if they're getting too comfortable with stuff, and if you want to make them nervous, after a health sweep knockdown, you can just Weiwu in their face and do whatever, right? Change your timing, stuff like that. Maybe electric their face. That's also possible. Or you can do the Vortex that I just showed you. Okay. So what else? Let me think. I already talked about the Vortex starters and the Vortex itself and how to make it like unsteppable whenever they tech roll. What the weaknesses are, mostly anyway. Like the biggest weaknesses are the side roll to the left. As you guys can saw, it makes a lot of hell sweeps whiff and a lot of things whiff in general. Like side roll left is a nightmare for Kazuya, and I'm just happy not a lot of people know about that. And get up kicks in like 2 knockdown situations. And I guess that's it. I mean, the biggest weakness also is if they tech roll into sidestep, which is like what I'm doing right now. Tech roll into sidestep. But I already showed you how to deal with this. Yeah, but this is all for the right side. As you guys can see, I'm on the right. I wanted to transition to the left side, but I forgot one thing, one very important thing. One of the reasons I think this knockdown is the best one of the reasons, which I did not mention yet, is because after this knockdown, it's the only time you can use a forward 4-3. They cannot sidestep this. Because of the frames that you have, it's impossible for them to sidestep the forward 4-3. Even though when it comes to every other knockdown, doesn't matter what it is. Even like combo ending knockdowns, right? Okay, the wall's too close. Whatever. When it comes to combo ending knockdowns, even then they can do a tech roll into sidestep the forward 4-3. It won't work. But when it comes to forward 4-4, pancake flip, I messed up. Doesn't matter how you do it, right? The forward 4-3 works as a mix-up very well. Of course they can like try to react to it and they won't get hit, which is, I agree, it is reactable. Forward 4-3, it's really slow. It's forward move. The fastest it can come out is 21 frames because of the forward input. And when it comes to a wave of forward 4-3, it's even more like telegraphed. But it's possible. Not to mention if you do it really fast. Like something like this, which is like pretty fast, it's possible to mix it up with. That's one of the reasons I like it. The down back 2, not down back 2. Yeah, down back 2. Down back to forward 4-4. Of course, as I said, doesn't matter how you do it. You can like do a forward 4 into forward 4-4 pancake flip. It's the same, exactly the same. Knockdown. Like I would have mentioned wall staying 1+2 as well, but it doesn't have counter property anymore. It sucks balls, man. But yeah, I think that's it. Now let's go to the left side. So all the things that I just mentioned to like avoid them sidestepping, none of that matters there. As I already mentioned in the start, when they do a tech roll, they actually have a delayed sidestep after it, because on the tech roll they're automatically ducking, and when you are ducking, it's harder to sidestep in the foreground. And for the right side player, the foreground is their left side. So your hell sweeps can be very delayed and they will still work. But of course the things that I mentioned also works, like very fast timing hell sweeps. Like this. Like this is still a Vortex. There's no difference there. But you just add the very slow hell sweeps to the mix and they cannot sidestep this. Right? But yeah, that one was too fast. That's why I said it's always possible to mess it up. Always. Because the timing is so weird. But to make it more and more consistent, of course, you just have to know about it. If you know about it, you'll know why it's happening. And make it more consistent. And this right side, when your opponent is on the right side, there's also one more very, very important thing. Because they can't sidestep to the left instantly, 4-4-3 also works as a mix-up. And it works really well, unless you do it too fast. Like that. You do a hell sweep too fast, it also whiffs. Like that. If you do it correctly, it will come out fast enough as a mix-up, but you just have to be careful not to make it too slow or too fast. So it's a little bit weird, but it's possible. But as you see, it whiffs if you do it too fast. Like that. So be careful about 4-4-3 to make it like 100%. Hold forward after a wave dash, and it will always be a hit or a block at least. And this works very well because of the delayed hell sweep. They cannot step the delayed hell sweep, and this has the same timing as the delayed hell sweep. So that's why I wouldn't recommend the fast timing as much, because if you do it too fast, this happens. But if you do it a little bit slower, it's pretty consistent. So a slow timed hell sweep is also very good. But you can also do the fast timed one. That was not the correct one. Like this. So different timing hell sweeps for each situations. And when it comes to this, as I said, 4-4-3 always works, even on the right side. You can also use down back 2. You can also use another hell sweep, down back 4, all that good stuff. But the mind game of 1-1-2 and back 1-2 is exactly the same. Exactly the same. The get up kicks are a threat, the spring kicks are a threat, side rolls are a threat, so you have to be very careful. Oh, and when you're playing online, of course, you have to assume that they're playing on the left side. It doesn't matter where you're playing. If you're playing on the left side, you still have to assume they're playing on the left side as well, so they might do that into a sidestep. But do it correctly, even though they're on the right side. Doesn't matter. Complicated stuff, right? But yeah, just be aware of that. Yep. What else? Oh, one thing. I almost forgot. This is very important. Usually when they are on the right side, most people tech roll to the right. So what do I mean tech roll right? Instead of going to the left in this situation, they go to the right. So, what difference does this make? This actually makes a lot of difference for a Kazuya player. Other characters, they won't mind something like this, right? They don't give a shit. But for a Kazuya player, this matters a lot. Because what this does is that it makes it possible for the down back 2 to whiff if you do it incorrectly. Like this. If you do a slow version, it will still work. But if you do a fast one like this one, it will whiff. So, as I said, down back 2 becomes a little bit less reliable when it comes to like okay situations, especially after a whole sweep. If you do the slow version, it's pretty good. But as I said, when you do something slow, you are like more susceptible to get up kicks. But it still works really well after a hell sweep. Just be careful when it comes to like knockdowns, like wall splats. Do this, 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 this. Something like that. Okay, so the last thing I have to talk about, the last thing, is the wall splats. It's a long ass vid, huh? But hey, it's a Vortex. People think it's brain dead, but look at how long I'm talking about this stuff. Now, the wall splats. So you do the normal combo, bum bum, bum bum. You actually have pretty good frames here. After this wall combo, it does decent damage. It's the best one that you're gonna do ever. And I mean ever. Never do this on big guys. Never do that. It does the same damage. Exactly the same damage as this wall combo. Exactly the same. I tested this. 20 damage, both of them. No difference. The only difference is frames, and this gives more frames. So always do this combo, and then do a slight sidestep to the foreground. If you're on the right side, you sidestep to the left. If you're on the left side, you sidestep to the right. So do a slight sidestep to the foreground, and then do an instant mix-up. You can do a mix-up on literally anything you want. Like all the options I selected. Down back 4. Forward 4-3 doesn't work, as I already said. When it comes to these kind of situations, don't use forward 4-3. Down back 2 also works if you do it fast. If you do it slow, it won't work. Let me demonstrate it. Like slight sidestep, slow down back 2, it'll whiff. But this only happens if they tech roll to the right, as I already mentioned. They are tech rolling to the right. But the good thing about tech rolling to the right is if they do that, and you do the slight sidestep, and you catch him with a hell sweep, there's a chance you might get a wall into another splat. If you do it fast enough. Let me try to demonstrate it. This into a wall splat, basically is what I'm saying. If you do it fast enough though. Okay, I messed up, but you get what I mean. Especially on like more rounder stages, like an octagon stage. It's like more of a chance of you getting a combo. That's why the slight sidestep here. The other reason the slight sidestep works really well is because it conditions the opponent to expect a mix-up after a sidestep. So this slight sidestep, in my opinion, is a really good thing to do, because you have the frames to do it after a tech roll, and it just enforces a mix-up. Okay, now the weakness to that slight sidestep is of course a get-up kick, because you're slowing down all of the frames that you're gonna do because of the sidestep. Sidestep, oh wait, let me do that. Sidestep into hell sweep, see that, counter it. If you do it fast, you won't get counter hit, like do a sidestep into instant hell sweep. That won't get beat by anything. See that? But if you do it too slow, you will get beat. And it's the same with like mids like down back 2. If you do it fast enough, you will beat the get up kicks. But if you do it too slowly, you're gonna get countered. So be aware of that. But one of the best things you have to be looking out for is a sprint kick. Because if you sidestep into literally anything, like you try to mix them up with anything you want, doesn't matter what, you're gonna get hit. So that's why I do this little tactic, which I'm gonna share with you guys, of course. This right here, which is an instant wall standing 3. This works as a mid mix-up really well, and it beats sprint kicks. So if they do get up into a duck, you're gonna get a wall splat. Like let's imagine they tech roll left and they're crouching. No sprint kick. You're gonna get a wall splat. That's just okay, what I mean is that's not a normal wall splat either. That's a good one. I messed it up. You get a very good combo. I just messed it up again. There really is a YouTube curse going around. Like this, you get a full combo, maybe get another wall there, and get another wall combo. Right? It's pretty good. It also works if they tech roll to the right and then crouch. But if they tech roll to the right and crouch, you won't get the wall splat. Unless it's an octagon, sometimes you might get it still. But in the squared stages, most likely you won't get it. But it still works as a mix-up. Really, and it works really well because it beats sprint kicks. The one thing it doesn't beat are recovery kicks. So no matter how fast you do the wall stand 3, god damn it, he tech rolled. The recovery kick will still beat you. It's very fast. The one thing I did not mention is up forward 3. So when they tech roll, into a duck. You can also use an up forward 3, sidestep up forward 3 as a mix-up. And you're gonna get a wall splat there, right? But the same problem lies here as in wall standing 3. If you do a sidestep here into up forward 3, you won't get a wall splat. So sometimes you may change up the sidestep. Instead of sidestepping to the foreground or this side, sidestep to the right, you may sidestep this side. If you are like very observant, you can tell which side your opponent is stepping and sidestep there and then mix them up for a wall splat, right? If you're sidestepping to the right, you have to go towards them, align yourself. If they're sidestepping to the left, align yourself there. But most of the time, automatically you should be sidestepping to the foreground. But then if you notice they're sidestepping to the right most of the time, then you change it up. Do this. And mix them up with like an upward 3. Or you can even do a sidestep while standing 3 instantly, right? Something like that. But it is slow. So they might get up. But it's still decent. It's not bad. Especially if they're doing like a tech roll into sidestep. It will catch them. Okay. What else? I think that's kind of it, right? I even talked about the wall combo. Oh yeah, I have talked about the other wall combo. Okay, now let's talk about the second wall combo. Which is back to 4, not 4, 1, 3. What this does, it gives you slightly more frames to work with than this one. This does more damage, but the other one gives more frames. This right here. Of course, the same thing applies. If you do a sidestep into mix-up, exactly the same thing applies. All of this works really, really well. Even in the second wall combo. But there are some situations I don't know how to replicate it. Well, this wall combo, this one right here, gives a little bit too many frames. I don't know how to explain it. Like they tech roll so delayed that some things may whiff and your timing may be off. Is basically what I'm saying. But it's very hard to replicate and it's weird. Basically, it's weird. So just forget I said it. But it may happen. If it happens, you'll know. Oh, duelist, that guy said it. This weird shit happens sometimes. So yeah, sidestep into down back 4, sidestep into down back 2, sidestep into while standing 3, like sidestep into while standing 3, something like this. Sidestep to down forward 1-4 works as well, but it's risky. Sidestep into hell sweep, sidestep into up forward 3, all these stuff, very good. But let's talk about the tech roll into the sidewalk on the other side though. God damn. Now how do I demonstrate this? So, stop. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is gonna be hard to demonstrate, I think. Okay, there we go. So when you do this, you see this? It has exactly the same weaknesses as the Vortex that I just showcased. So, stop it. What the hell? Why is sidestep? So you do your normal wall combo, but then this happens. But the one thing about this is if you do the sidestep into it, it's impossible to make this work. But this only works if they're on the left side, as I already said. If they're on the left side, this is possible. If they're on the right side, you don't have to worry about this. Sidestep into hell sweep, they can't avoid it with a sidestep after a tech roll. Maybe if they're playing on a hitbox, but that doesn't really count, now does it? But yeah. What you can do is instead of doing a sidestep, you can do the classic dash into hell sweep that I talked to you about in the Vortex. This works just as well, and you can mix it up with a dash mid, like a dash down back 2. Or, as I already said, instant while standing 3. It works really well. Especially the instant while standing 3. I really like the instant while standing 3 after this wall combo. Because this dash hell sweep And the wall standing 3 will have almost the same timing. Almost. The thing about timing is, if you mess up the timing for like 2 to 3 frames, 3 frames may be a little bit too much, but 2 frames is like the sweet spot. Like from -2 to 2 frames, not -2, what am I talking about? Like 2 frame difference in timing isn't that big of a difference. It's hard to fuzzy 2 frames. 3 may be too much, but 2 is like, it's fine. 2 is fine. Okay. I think that's it, right? Long as vid, I know guys, but hey, at least now we know about Vortex, more or less. More or less. I'm gonna be honest here, I don't use this that much. It's very risky to use, right? Hell sweeps, of course. Hell sweeps are risky. Duh. But now, they're less risky, because you know how to stop making your opponent avoid them with a sidestep. Of course, when you first land it. Oh, and I almost forgot one more thing, one more important thing, is that when you are in the neutral, like normally playing, right, in the neutral, that's one of the worst times you can do a hell sweep. Because you cannot control timing of your opponent when it comes to hell sweeping them in the neutral. You can't control their timing. When you knock them down, you can control their timing. You know exactly what they can do in what time. But in the neutral, that's impossible. Because they can just randomly decide, I'm going to sidestep now, and avoid your hell sweep. So the biggest risk you take when you are doing a hell sweep is in the neutral. Like in normal games, without a knockdown. That's the biggest risk. And the best one is of course the 2 I mentioned, which is another hell sweep as a stutter, or down back to forward forward 4, or any kind of forward forward 4 pancake flip. Doesn't matter how. You can't even do this shit, right? The forward forward 4 pancake flip. Yeah, I messed up, but you get what I mean. As long as you get the pancake flip, it's pretty good. But yeah, I think that's it. Thank you everyone for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope it helps a little bit. I hope not a lot of anti-Kazuya players will watch this, I'm gonna be honest, because side roll left is a menace. Trust me, it's a menace. But yeah. Till later, guys.